Hi, this is Jennifer Rubin, editor-in-chief of The Contrarian.
And Norm Eisen, publisher of The Contrarian.
We are thrilled to have with us today Rob Weissman. Rob is the president of Public Citizen and is involved in actually the first lawsuit brought against Donald Trump for these ridiculous executive decrees. Rob, tell us a little bit about the lawsuit that you have filed.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be with you. We filed a lawsuit on the first day of the Trump regime, part two, actually 2 minutes after he was inaugurated, with the American Federation of Government Employees, AFG, and State Democracy Defenders Network, Norm is involved in, challenging this new operation under the leadership of Elon Musk, designed to roll back regulations across the government and cut government spending. The way it's been set up is called the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. It's a joke name for a very serious enterprise, but it's not a government department. In fact, what it is an advisory committee, including outside people, designed to make recommendations to the government. There is a law that governs how advisory committees must work, called the Federal Advisory Committee Act, and this operation is out of compliance with that. That law requires that advisory committees have a fair and balanced membership, that they have an official charter, a mission, that they have open meetings, that they publish their agenda, and that they maintain and make available open records. And there's no sign of this thing called DOGE doing any of that.
And Norm, you actually put in an application to DOGE to test this principle as to whether they were really open on a nonpartisan basis to qualified people across the political spectrum.
I did. And the basis for Rob's analysis is that we kept reading in the newspapers that there are hundreds of these outside advisors, and that they were providing guidance during the transition period. Therefore, it's a fair inference that didn't stop when Donald Trump was sworn in. But it seemed to us, to our colleagues at Public Citizen, Democracy Defenders, and to AFG,
the Union of Government Employees,
the American Federation of Government Employees, that the views that were being filtered in, it was heavily billionaire influenced. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's since gone, purportedly to run for governor of Ohio. There's press reports he didn't get along with Elon. That those views were not representing the consumers that Public Citizen is so well known for being a champion of. They weren't representing the public interest and the interests of workers and government workers. That's AFG. And they appear to be conflicted to us, Jen. And that's because when you have billionaires and business interests, and it appeared to be partisan, Republican ones, that are, you have to reasonably conclude, are continuing to roll forward after Election Day. But you're not taking in any other views. That violates a legal requirement that was going to take effect on Election Day: balance. These advisory bodies have to be fairly balanced. So we all applied, the union, Public Citizen, and myself, and they reacted to the spokesperson for the DOGE, reacted to my application by saying, Democrats are not welcome. Well, you can't do that. That's the opposite of balance. If you say only one party, only billionaires, business interests, and Republicans are welcome.
Rob, they were in government for 4 years. This does not strike me as a well thought out plan. Are they making things up as they go along, or is there some weird theory behind all of this?
No, I think they're making it up as they go along. We've had 4 years of experience, and we know that Trump governs by chaos. And I think it's a certainty that he's going to govern for the next 4 years in exactly the same way. It turns out that Musk seems to operate in that same vein. They had an idea. It was actually probably a throwaway line at first at a Trump rally. Musk said he was interested in it, decided he really wanted to do it. He's threw $250 million in the last election. Trump decided that's a guy he wanted to be more friendly with. Musk said, I volunteer for this role. Trump said, great. They didn't really know what it was. They still probably don't really know what it is. But what's actually happened is that there's obviously a policy vacuum in the Trump administration because Trump doesn't care about policy. Musk, who doesn't really know much about policy, he's decided he's going to fill it. So I think everything aside from immigration policy, Musk and the operation around him is the locus of policymaking right now in Trump world. It's incredibly important that they follow the law and that we know what they're doing, and that we root out these conflicts, which are otherwise going to drive policy in even worse direction than it would otherwise go.
Rob, why did you, and I was part of the decision making, but will you explain the reasoning in wanting to do this right at the get-go of the new Trump administration?
Yeah, well, it relates to what I said, which is, as best we can tell from the reporting, which is imperfect because this is a secretive operation, Musk is taking control of policymaking in the Trump White House and the Trump transition, and now in the Trump White House. Now, he doesn't have the formal authority, and it is an advisory committee, but if you're giving advice that everyone's going to follow, that really matters. That's what it looks like right now, both in the White House and, by the way, in the Congress, where they're groveling to get his approval because they too are worried or seeking or worried about his political spending in the next election. Anyway, he seems to be driving where they want to go on a wide range of policies. So it's not just an exercise in vanity for him. It's an exercise in making policy, and the American people need to know. By the way, you know who agrees that this really matters? Investors. Elon Musk has had his wealth grow by about $150 billion since the election. Why? Because the value of his companies is going up. Why? Because investors are betting, in fact, that government decision-making, contracting, regulatory policy, enforcement policy, exclusion of competitors is going to be heavily tilted for this guy who's driving policy in the White House.
Norm, let me end with the bigger picture. This strikes me as very common in authoritarian regimes, that you hollow out government and you privatize it. In this sense, a friend of the president, a billionaire who has business with the government. This strikes me as something out of Hungary, not the United States.
I think you can travel even further east to Putin's Russia to see this kind of arrangement where it has the appearance that Musk helped Trump in the election. Now Trump is helping Musk. He's putting a business leader in, commingling with government operations, where Musk has these enormous interests that raise at least potential conflicts of interest. And then, as Rob points out, yes, there's what looks like the official operations of DOJ. That's called the USDS. They took the US Digital Service. They're calling it the US DOJ Service. But all of these hundreds of outside advisors, we know nothing about that. So that is a very common trait of authoritarian regimes, which of course I study in my other lives. And one of the ways you push back on that is through the rule of law. And that's why Public Citizen, Democracy Defenders, and AFG thought it was so important to make the very first statement. We have a meritorious legal claim, and it's based on the American idea, the deeper idea in the laws, that we are a government of rule of law, not rule of oligarchs.
Well, Rob, best of luck, and Norm, in the litigation. And I think for our contrarian community, the lesson should be this. Donald Trump tried to stun us into submission. He's signing dozens and dozens of these executive orders, but they don't go into effect if we block them, if we litigate against them. And so I think the job now is to keep focused, keep energized, keep litigating, because the rule of law, I think, in the end will prevail. And it's very important to get them to play by the rules that everyone else has played with and every other president plays by. So, Rob, thank you again for all you do. And thank you for being with us.
Thanks Rob.
Thank you.